Hello everyone, it's Maha. Thank you for joining me once again on my channel. In today's video, I want to share with you a technique that I love and find very valuable and highly effective in my own practice with crystals and also in color therapy. In all my years of teaching art, I have really enjoyed teaching color theory to my students, and I have really seen them engage with the world around them in a very deep way once they begin to experience colors and building a color wheel and just understanding the language of colors. And I think as metaphysicians, healers, witches, wizards, and magicians, I feel that it is really beneficial to understand some basic color theory, because color is just so fundamental in helping us to understand the harmony of the universe and the harmony in nature. And it really helps us also to understand the law of correspondences as well, because each color, of course, corresponds to a planet, to a mineral, and also to an element from the periodic table. So I want to first begin by talking just a little bit about the basics of color theory, just the basics, nothing scary. And then I want to share with you how I use complementary colors to balance the chakras and do crystal healing. So we're going to begin by looking at the color wheel. So the color wheel itself has 12 colors. It is comprised of 12 colors, just like the zodiac wheel has 12 signs. The color wheel has 12 colors, beginning with the 3 primary colors of blue, red, and yellow. And so these are, of course, as you probably already know, the colors that we can't make, that they occur naturally in nature. So we have those 3 colors, and those are our primary colors. And when we mix 2 primary colors together, we get secondary colors. And there are 3 secondary colors: purple, orange, and green. So green is a combination of, this is primary school stuff, I'm just reviewing. The green is a combination of blue and yellow, of course, and purple is red and blue, and orange is yellow and red. And then we have 6 of our tertiary colors, and these colors are made by mixing the primary colors together with the secondary color. So 1 primary color, 1 secondary color gives us tertiary color. And here we have all the 12 colors of the 12 colors of the color wheel, which of course also correspond to a planet. So what are complementary colors? Now, all the colors of the color wheel have a relationship with each other, and complementary colors have this relationship, which is that they are directly opposite each other on the color wheel. So for example, we have yellow, and directly opposite of yellow is purple. Purple and yellow are complementary colors. And it's interesting, if we link this also to planets, yellow corresponds to Mercury, which rules Gemini, and Gemini is directly opposite Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, which corresponds to purple. Jupiter is associated with purple. And then we have, for another example, green and red, the Christmas colors. They are complementary, opposite the color wheel, opposite to each other. And astrologically, again, because as you know, I love the correspondences to astrology. It's a huge part of my work. It's a huge part of what I talk about on this channel. So green is the color of Venus. Venus rules Libra. Libra on the zodiac wheel is directly opposite Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars corresponds to red. Red and green, opposites. And so complementary colors really complement each other. They are opposites, but they complement. Just like in astrology, if you watched my tarot and astrology videos, we talked about polarities, how they are not totally opposite. They are seeking the same thing, just in different ways. So if we think of Mars, for example, the color red, really like we can associate that maybe with heat and anger, and then if we emotionally, anger, heat, physically, and then opposite to that we have green, which is the color of peace emotionally and is a healing color, is cooling, opposite to red. And complementary colors are everywhere around us in nature. They really pop out. Like we can think of flowers, the purples and yellows. We can think of the greens and reds that we see in nature around us. As well, complementary colors are used a lot in advertising, for labels of companies that want their labels to really stick out. They use a lot of complementary colors for that. So if we just look around us, we can pay attention to how the colors relate to each other and how we see them both in nature and just everywhere else around us. So now, how does this relate to chakra balancing and healing? This is the fun part. So chakras, of course, have a color corresponded to each of them. And then if we think of how we can bring balance to the chakras, we usually think of, with crystal healing, putting a crystal that corresponds to the color of the chakra directly on that chakra. So for example, citrine on the third chakra, the solar plexus, and for example, a pink or a green one on the heart chakra. And now the way I want you to think about it is, instead of putting the actual color of the chakra on your body when you're doing alignment, or if you're just wanting to bring that healing property of that chakra, aligning yourself with it, working with it, however you do in your practice, I like to directly place them on my body for meditation and just for sleep and my own practice. So if you think of it as, instead of putting the actual color of the chakra, you would use the opposite color, the complementary color. And this can be done more directly with the first three chakras. So the fourth chakra you can think of as the bridge between the first three and the top three. And I associate the fourth chakra to Venus. Venus is the planet of love and harmony, and the fourth chakra, of course, corresponds to those meanings. And the colors, pinks and yellows, are Venus, associated with Venus. Anything with copper, copper is Venus. So if you think of, for example, malachite, that green crystal, that green color comes from copper, which is associated with Venus. So and Venus in astrology is like a bridge that connects us to others. So the first three chakras, the colors red, orange, and yellow, we focus on those and bring balance to those. A lot of times, the balancing of the top three after the bridge, which is in the middle, really depends on the balancing of, or the imbalance relating to the first three. So let's see, I'm going to give you some examples, a whole bunch of examples. We have the color red, right, for the first chakra. That's Mars. That's where we hold anger, or where we feel courageous, where we can feel fear maybe, inflammation associated with Mars, all of that red heat color down in the first chakra. So if there is an imbalance, if there is too much red, we don't necessarily want to place a red stone on the first chakra, right? We want to tone it down. So we would want to use the opposite energy, the opposite color. Here, complementary color of red is green, as we talked about So by placing a green color on the first chakra, which is a complementary color to red, we can bring down the inflammation, we can cool down the inflammation, we can cool down the anger, for example. Bring feelings of calmness to aggression. Another example, let's go to the higher chakras. So the throat chakra, the color blue. What's the complementary color to the color blue? Orange, which corresponds to the second chakra. So sometimes we can work on the second chakra using the complementary color of blue, which is orange, so that we can work on throat chakra issues. And a lot of times psychologically, we have blocks in expressing ourselves, expressing our true selves, blocks in the throat chakra, and they could be linked very deeply to issues connected with the emotions and the past, our childhood, the wounds in the womb area and the second chakra area. They run very deep. So this is really deep work when you start working with crystals this way. You're really digging deep, instead of just placing a crystal on the throat chakra, you're seeing where is this coming from and asking the questions and really understanding and then nurturing. The second chakra wants to be nurtured. A lot of times it's linked to the moon, sometimes Venus. I personally use the moon correspondence. And I guess there are peach colored stones we can think of that do relate to Venus that could be in the second chakra, but for me it's more about nurturing. It's more the element of water, whereas this is air. Some people say that this is Venus. The throat chakra, for me the throat chakra is Mercury. It's the element of air, speech, communication. So a lot of times that could be from emotions. So we go back here and we use complementary color of the chakra. And here then we can introduce, if we feel like it, we could, whatever we're guided to do. That's how I do it. If I want to use orange there, I feel that sometimes it might be making it too active. So if I'm trying to balance something in the throat chakra, I would bring a color that maybe is linked to the element of water, something more, a crystal that's more nurturing. So something like chrysocolla is great because it has a bluish tone, right? The color here, I'm introducing it to the orange. So I'm introducing a complementary color to another color chakra area, which usually corresponds to the complementary color of it. So orange and blue, for example. And then another thing that comes to mind is, for example, anxiety, where we hold anxieties in the solar plexus, of course. And a lot of times we read in crystal therapy books that amethyst is great for anxiety. Now amethyst, of course, is purple. So if you think about it again, you're introducing the complementary color to calm that energy. So think about it like this. If a chakra is overactive, you want to tone it down. If it's underactive, you want to bring it up. So we introduce complementary colors that way. Sometimes you might feel that you need to use complementary colors. Sometimes you might feel that you want to stick to the same color. It all really depends on what level the imbalance lies in. What do you want to do? Increase, decrease, bring down, cool down, warm up, right? So if the first chakra needs to be more warmed up, then of course you need, if it's weak, if it's feeling weak, you need more red. If you need more courage, stamina, and energy, that active energy of Mars, that red heat color, then you would introduce the red, not the green. So for the overactive, we want to tone it down. For the underactive, bring it up. And that's how I use it. That's my little intro video to chakra crystal healing using complementary colors. I hope that this information was useful to you. I hope that you can somehow take what you need and incorporate it into your own practice however you feel guided to do. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Leave me a comment. I always love reading your questions. Any questions you have, let me know. And until the next video, I'm sending you all lots of love and many blessings. Kisses. Bye.